I do a little bit anywhere. I don't have one place. I'm a bit of a shoeing, yeah, gypsy. Yeah, that's a good word.
What's the hottest place you ever seen horses in?
I don't think there's many places hotter than Texas. Except here, you've got the humidity to go with it. Now I want to clip. Talking about clipping. You can clip any method you want. It's creating the base of the clip. So you've got to hold the shoe over the edge of the anvil because the material's got to be displaced somewhere. If you put it on the face, all you're going to do is going to make a hole in your shoe. So you've got to put it over the edge so the material can be moved and transferred to the other side. I'll hold it up just a couple of inches. Small angle. Then I aim my hammer for the corner of the anvil. I'm not thinking about the shoe too much when I'm clipping. I'm looking at my hammer hitting the anvil, because then that's going to transfer that material over the edge, isn't it? So I'm going to transfer the metal over the edge, and then as it gets over the edge, then I'm going to take it down. One of the things with a lot of roadsters, they're a bit full on the inside toe quarter. Okay, and what you've got to remember is this is the type of horse you don't want hitting, is it? And it doesn't matter how well you trim these horses, they're going to hit at some point. Why? Because if you pull a wagon for 8 hours, you get tired. Fatigue brings hitting. You know, we're not talking about putting a horse in a wagon for half hour, drive it around the tree and put it back. We're talking about going for 8 hours, pulling it and working. So when you fatigue, you hit. You know, so it's having a tight toe quarter on the inside. So what I'll do, I'll give it a couple of hits there on the outside heel just to tighten up the inside toe quarter. Nail holes, and because it's a tight-fitted shoe on the inside, the nail holes aren't going to be quite as coarse on the inside as on the outside. Because it's fitting tight, you don't need a lot of pitch. Now we'll clip both shoes. I hit it over the edge, I keep my shoulder in line with the anvil, okay? And I can watch my hammer where it's going. There's lots of different techniques, but that's what I do. Shoulder in line with the edge of the anvil and hit the corner of the anvil. Hitting the same place. Hitting it now down the edge of the anvil. I've got a good start to my clip. You can see the base of the clip's going to be strong. I flatten out the base of my clip, get the base of my clip set. Now I come up the middle with the corner of my hammer. Bring it up to a point. Set the corners of the clip. Leveling behind the clip. It's best to have the clip towards you. Okay? Because if I do that, I might need to catch the clip because I can't see it. Because my hammer is blocking the clip. If I turn it towards me, I have no problem seeing where the clip is. Get it really flat, the toe, around the outside edge. Set your clip in to the angle of the wall and the radius. I use the same technique for clipping all my shoes with a hammer. It doesn't matter whether it's a cross peen or a ball peen. When clipping a hammer, I use the same technique. I've got to transfer the metal. It doesn't matter what size the shoe is, how big, small, doesn't matter. To the corner of the anvil, I get the material right where I want it, over the edge. And when I take it, as I get down to the edge of the anvil, I go down. See, now it's pretty easy. All you gotta do is flatten that lump. And then go up the middle. I level the toe, but again, I face the clip towards me. What's important is this was 11 inches. It's how do we assess, how do we make shoes to size? It's easy to make a roadster. Now how do we make a 5.5-inch roadster? Well, that's what this shoe should measure. About 5.5, just over 5.5 to the inside heel, okay? Because the inside heel is only going to be fitted about 1/8 long. The outside heel is going to be fitted about just over 1/4 long, 5/16 long, okay? So the inside it should be right around 5.5, and look at that, 5.5. So if you're measuring them for a foot, you take the longest, and add them together. Because this was 11 inches, so 5.5 is 11. So if you're going to make one for a foot, you're going to measure the longest, and then add them together, and it'll be pretty close. If you're going to fuller it, then you're going to deduct 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch for each fullering. That gives you a guideline on how to measure for these shoes.
Is the width not?
If you get a very wide foot, then you're going to have to add something for the width. If it's a 1/4 inch wider than normal, then you add a 1/4 inch again. If it was a very narrow foot, you deduct the 1/4 inch. If it was a 1/4 inch narrower than normal. But you've got to, what I'm saying is it should be for about a normally proportioned foot. So if it's a really wide foot, you've got to add a bit extra. If it's a narrow foot, a little bit less. But it gives you a starting place on where to start measuring for the foot. Because there's no good making these. You can spend years practicing them, and people do. Then they're going to have to put one on the foot, and they're messed up.
It depends too on your forging technique.
Oh, definitely, your forging technique. You may find you need a 1/2 inch more than me every time, or a 1/2 inch less. Maybe a 1/2 inch more. But. So that was just a bit of a warm-up for me. So we'll have a look at a horse now. In England, in the UK, if you were going to get one shod probably today like that, it'd probably cost you about £100. That'd be like having probably $150. You know, but you'd be looking at shoeing one of those horses if you were, you know, you'd be set up for it. You'd be looking at shoeing one of those horses in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. You know, you can make a pair of those if you're not talking about it in about 25 minutes. So, you know, there's not much time involved.
I have not found that to be true. It's perfect.
It's like how long does it take you to make a pair of bar shoes? 1 heat more than a normal shoe. You know, 3 minutes longer than a normal pair of shoes. You know, and that's the way I think, you know. Forging the scarf on the end of the shoe is no more than forging a heel on the end of a normal shoe. Just happens to be further away from the toe. I think a lot of time we intimidate ourselves. You know, we let ourselves be intimidated by a shoe, and instead of it's a normal shoe with the heels welded together. Come on, what's an egg bar? Normal shoe with the heels welded together. How many more heats can it take? You know, 1, 2, you know, that's it. So I do think we do let ourselves be intimidated by shoes. You know, pulling clips on keg shoes, whatever. It's like it's easier not to do it. And I believe, I mean, one thing I did, I invested in my education. I put a lot of bar shoes on for no profit years ago. Now I'm very efficient at it, but I still get paid a lot more, much more than the time. And I do believe we need to invest in our education. It's where we all want to fit into the farrier market. You know, where do you want to be? The only one thing I can guarantee everybody here is going to shoe less horses when they get older. So if you can't do something to get more money as you get older, then you just got a decline in income. And I don't really want that. Okay, so you've got to keep increasing your skill level, because it's part of selling. You're selling skill. Anybody can go to the store and buy products. Go buy a new pair of nippers, new hammer. But it's the skills that you're selling, you know, and the products is just something you use along with the skills. And so I do believe it's a continuous education. You know, you see a group of people here that you've all got to have some interest in continuing education. If you take 3 things home from the clinic, okay, you can go home totally disagreeing with me. At least you come away and you convince you've got a reason to do it your way, you know, and justify that. I can live with that. But you know, if you can come to a clinic, anybody can go to a clinic and go away with 2 or 3, new, you know, not new necessarily, reawakening ideas, then it's been a success. So I'm going to grab a drink, take 5 minutes to look at the horse, then we'll look at the horse and I'll talk a bit about how I see that part of it.